The Moon Must Go, A Naughty Robber's Tale by Hans Wilhelm. A long, long time ago, long before you and I were born, the world had 2 moons instead of 1. You are about to hear the strange story about the terrible thing that happened to the 2nd moon. At that time, there lived 3 outlaws. Their names were Weasel, Crumb, and Rusty. They were robbers by trade and only worked at night when everybody was asleep and no one could see them. Their hideout was under the old bridge. Here they shared their loot together and planned their next robbery. During the day, the 3 robbers slept under the bridge. Their loud snoring was drowned out by the noises of the carts and footsteps above them. When night came, they would get up, stretch themselves, and have a little bite to eat before they went on their secret mission. It was a splendid life for the robbers, and they felt pretty content. But one night, it all came to a sudden end with a big, loud, thunderous crash. One of the 2 moons had fallen from the sky and had landed in a big apple tree. There the moon sat between the branches and was shining brightly as ever. The world around the moon suddenly became light as day. The people rushed from everywhere to look at the moon in the tree. Suddenly, there were no more nights. The earth was always brightly lit, which made everyone very happy. People could work whenever they wanted or rest whenever they felt like it. But the children loved the moon most because they no longer had to go to sleep. Everybody was happy except the 3 robbers, of course. They couldn't work without the darkness of the night. Said Weasel. Something has to be done about this. If we ever wanted to have a scrumptious pig again, he continued, the moon must go. So they sat down and debated what to do. As they were robbers, they soon concluded that the only decent thing for them to do was to steal the moon. But as hard as they tried, it did not work. The moon was far too big and far too heavy. They pulled and pulled until they were blue in their faces, but they could not move the moon 1 single inch. What do we do now? Asked Crumb, for they all feared that they may be forced to learn an honest trade if they could not get rid of the moon. We have to think of something else, said Weasel. How about covering the moon up? Said Rusty. Capital idea, said Weasel. Let's do it. A whole day they spent scavenging for scraps of paper, cloths, old carpets, and the like. But when they spread their treasures over the moon, they realized that the moon was far too big. It would take them years to cover the whole surface. Rats, said Rusty. What do we do now? By now their stomachs were getting very noisy. We have to do something fast, they all agreed. How about chopping the moon into little pieces, said Crumb. And since no one had a better idea, they went to work right away. But the moon was far too hard. With their freshly stolen hammers and wedges, they could barely make a scratch on the surface. Sad and gloomy, the robbers returned to their hideout. They were just contemplating their imminent fate of starvation when Rusty had a splendid idea. "Bolder actions are now called for," he said, and explained his plan to the others. It was a little unusual, they agreed, but since everything else had failed, it would be worth trying. The three robbers sniggered and giggled as they climbed up the apple tree. As soon as they reached the top, they began to put out the moon's light. It sizzled and crackled, and the light of the moon went dim. Suddenly, there was a loud crack, and the darkened moon split right through the middle. The three robbers were so surprised that they lost their balance and tumbled down, one by one. They were quickly caught and put into jail for all the pigs and the other things they had stolen over the years. The moon in the apple tree was no more. Nighttime returned to Earth, and everybody had to go to bed again. But Weasel, Crumb, and Rusty were not too sad. As winter was approaching, they were rather happy to have found a warm place to live, with regular meals. But, like everybody else, they keep hoping that the other moon will always stay way, way up in the sky forever. The end.